how old and angry is your fan base?
Oh, these people are the original cast from Titanic.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, these old women have spent days trying to figure out what's going on. And so,
Trying to find all the diamonds they keep throwing in the ocean and wondering why they're broke.
So yeah, so we can't screw it up. Like they'll kill me. So let's start at 7, please. Sorry.
No, I was gonna
Now
say,
we just sit in 8 minutes of awkward silence.
did he?
Ladies and gentlemen, from the glamour capital of the world and the John Lovitz Comedy Network at Universal Studios City Walk, Universal City, California, it's time for the Oh Mary Show, starring Mary Kennedy and Paul Jason.
We're there. Look at that, everybody.
Indeed, gorgeous.
Isn't it great? And John Keating's here.
Yay, John!
Actor, comic, cartoonist. Yeah. That's John Keating over here. Mm-hmm, and indeed. Where are we sitting, Paul Jasek?
Well, our backdrop, as you can see, we're all enjoying a lovely moment, meeting friends here in the Palm Court, RMS Titanic, as the Oh Mary Show revisits the anniversary show of the loss of Titanic, the deathless story.
102nd year anniversary, right?
102 years ago today, Titanic started its crossing of the North Atlantic, carrying its nearly 2,000 passengers. And 4 days later, it would meet its ultimate demise by running into an iceberg there off Newfoundland.
See?
There it is. And all of my Titanic...
That's great.
It's
comedy, people!
It is. And all my Titanic historical people that are listening this evening, once again, thank you. And they are going, really? You're using game show? Ship's Geeks take this very, very seriously.
I know, and I got to be honest, we are not poking fun at the Titanic. We're not. Are we?
I'm just a guest. I didn't write into this.
So tell me, Angelo is our sound guy. So tell me, the Palm Court that's behind you.
The bus fast.
Wow.
So the Palm Court that's behind you.
Yes.
Okay. Explain what that was used for back then.
Okay. Well, first of all, the Titanic, people go, oh yeah, I'm really into cruise liners. The Titanic and ships of that time were not cruise liners. They had a specific job. The Titanic has initials before her name, RMS, meaning the Royal Mail Ship. They were commissioned by the British government, along with the Cunard Line, to carry the mail across the Atlantic to the United States. So not only was she defraying the cost by carrying passengers, she had a job to do. So much like airliners, ocean liners are crossing back and forth.
So here's my question.
Yes.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you. Now, and this is not a joke. So would this be like in today's time if I decided to take the FedEx plane to Boston? Like you said it was a mail carrier.
Well, it is. It is.
John, right?
Isn't that the plot of Castaway?
Kind of.
Isn't it?
Park
Yes.
Stevenson and all those folks. I'm so sorry. Anyhow, yes, indeed. No, so it carried first class, second class, and steerage third class passengers. So what we're seeing is one of the first class areas, the Palm Court. First class rides through the center of the ship. It's the smoothest ride. Second class was all the way to the stern, and tourist class was all the way forward. They get the plunge.
peasant!
Exactly.
Yeah.
They get the plunge and the roll. Cabin class, which is a little bit more expensive, it's much steadier, but they're right over the engines. And there were 3 triple expansion steam turbine engines.
Have you ever been on a cruise?
I have, yeah.
Did you like it?
I actually really did. I know a lot of people have like problems with the
I
cruises
love it.
and stuff. I like it too. I like being on the boat, and I like not having to do anything.
Right.
You know, all your meals. You don't have to worry about anything. You know, you don't have to worry about meals. You don't have to worry about drinks are there. You know, then you got to pay at the end, which I didn't like that part.
You do?
Yeah,
I didn't have to pay at the end.
You have to tip people, Mary.
Oh, I didn't do any of that.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
husband
yeah.
did it.
Wow.
Well, they give you like a bill. It's not like all. Well, I guess they're all for the drinks anyway, not for the.
Oh no, then my husband paid for it. I didn't do it. I was
see?
good. Yeah.
There you go.
So here's so my impression of this whole Titanic thing was not that it was, and we've done this show now 4 years.
This is our 4th year.
Yeah, and it's
All on the Titanic.
all on the Titanic. Yeah, it's like a recurring. It's a recurring episode. But what my question, I didn't realize it was just for mail because you had tell everybody who was on that ship those rich bankers.
Well, it was called the
DiCaprio.
Kate Winslet.
I just met a young man who we were talking about this, and he said the movie was really great, and I said something about they brought artifacts up, and he did not know it was a real incident. He just knew that it was a movie. He thought it was written. He didn't know.
Oh, he didn't know that it was actually.
It was an actual real
Wow,
thing.
he must have been so surprised at the end.
He was.
He's like, oh, what a weird ending.
The
Not predictable.
you were asking about it being
The mail, yeah.
Yeah. So The maiden voyage of a ship is not really the best time to catch a ship, really, because it's brand new. It's like, the doors still sort of stick, and
Right.
drawers don't really work
bugs
really
aren't
well.
worked out yet.
And in this instance, it was called the Millionaire's Crossing because it was the end of the high season in England. It had been an unusually warm winter, and that's why a lot of the ice floes had broken and had drifted into the sea lanes. So J. Pierpont Morgan was the only big name on board that did not make the crossing. He had actually a terrible case of gout and couldn't get to the ship. So the Astors, the Guggenheims, the Wideners, all the big names in finance, and there was actually a movie star on board. Her name was Dorothy Gibson, and her mother were crossing. So it
And
was.
how much was a ticket?
Back in 1912, it was about $1,250 for a first-class cabin.
Oh wow, that's like
That's a lot
expensive
of
even
money.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So compared to most of the third-class cabins, would be going for $65.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
steerage.
Steerage. Hmm.
That's where my grandmother came over. Not on the Titanic.
No,
No.
So
did you swim half the way? Is it
what
like,
had happened actually?
I'd never
because
go in this cruise line again.
the White Star Line had was
Yes.
they were having a coal strike in Southampton.
Right.
So a lot of the other smaller liners, they had compiled the coal from other smaller liners and transferred it to Titanic along with their passengers. So a lot of passengers that had booked passage on the Adriatic and the Doric and I think the Baltic were transferred to Titanic, which they thought it was wonderful because second class on board this brand new ship was like traveling first class on those older, smaller ships.
Oh, wow.
So it was very exciting for some of them.
Well, and for you guys that don't know, Paul is not just a comedian and actor and writer. He actually is a ship historian. He was
Indeed.
a tour guide for Queen Mary.
For 4 years.
Ooh.
I know.
So
and
if
that's
you, so if you have any questions, and this is your time, John, to ask him too about ships or cruises or whatever, or the Queen Mary. He's your man.
Okay, all right.
yes.
All right.
He's
So-
your man. But
yeah.
you know what? We do have some stuff that we're going to show, and then we're going to get into some of your things that has nothing to do with Titanic, actually. And we're going to go to actually the clips of Kenneth Marshall's paintings.
Ken Marshall.
Yeah,
Actually,
Ken
I met him. When I was a Queen Mary tour guide, a dear friend of mine, Joe Sauter, and his brother Eric also were Queen Mary tour guides. And I had the best time. I was a tour guide during the day and a waiter at night. So I sort of know the Queen Mary rivet by rivet. I've crawled everywhere. I've been up in the crow's nest.
You were a waiter on the Queen Mary
At
as
night.
well?
So I was there 7 days a week, almost 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
I would run home and sleep and then get back, and I loved it. I had a great time. And so Joe actually allowed me to go into the archives to see some of the things that by this time, this is in 1936 when the Queen Mary made her first crossing.
come.
And
at
that
that.
is, so I met Ken Marshall, and he was a young man at that time. And these are some of his paintings. They are amazing, and now they're very, very popular. They're almost as if photographs of legendary liners. They were so inspirational, Jim Cameron used them in his storyboards for Titanic, the movie in 1997. That's one of the most famous. There's the Titanic and the tender. That's the main staircase for first class. It's a famous shot in the movie as well.
That's the icebergs.
That's the iceberg right ahead.
They're
So
beautiful.
it was very cold. The temperature dropped that Sunday afternoon. A lot of people on board had gone to the Sunday services early in the morning. There was discussion in first class that they were not trying to break the Atlantic record. They were trying to break the Titanic sister ship Olympics record that had been set the year before. So they weren't trying to outrun the faster liners, but they did want to get in town. And it was so well known in first class that Mrs. Widener was concerned they wouldn't be able to get a hotel in New York because they were coming in almost a day early.
Oh, that's right. They were going pretty fast.
They were. And the captain had been handed some ice warnings earlier in the morning. J. Bruce Ismay, who was the managing director of the White Star Line, was also on board for the maiden voyage. He proudly presented one of the
Wow.
ice warnings.
That was really cool.
And people, he kiddingly said to a collection of ladies, he goes, well, you know what? We're going fast enough. We'll just steer around the ice.
Wow.
Thanks, Angela.
Well, no, and it's like, I want to go on an Alaskan cruise. I really, really do. And there is a part of the Alaskan cruise where it's all around those icebergs. So it's really cold.
It's really cold, yeah.
It's-
The water was 28 degrees that night.
See? I'm a little frightened by that.
So they also talked about it was an evening of ifs. For some unexplained reason, up in the Crow's Nest, this is years before radar,
Right.
1912, they had the lookouts, Fleet and Mr. Fleet and Mr. Lee, and both of them survived, actually. Were in the Crow's Nest that night. They remarked on how calm it was. It was flat as a mill pond. And it was a moonless night, but they said the stars were so clear. But the spyglasses, the binoculars, went missing somewhere from Southampton to Queenstown.
So they had no binoculars?
There was literally a little cupboard that's where you store
Right.
the binoculars, and they went missing. So they're up in the Crow's Nest. It's this Sunday night. It's cold. They began the shift about 11 o'clock. So their sole idea is just to stand there and they scan the horizon. They probably had a cup of nice hot tea waiting. And had they seen the iceberg a few seconds earlier or even later, if Titanic had rammed the iceberg head on, it would have crumpled the bow in. But how Titanic got her nickname of being unsinkable, she had 16 watertight compartments that doors would shut, and to their way of thinking and technology then, that it would, how possibly. But when they rang down to the bridge, iceberg right ahead, the quartermaster said thank you, quietly, and then he grabbed the telegraphs. The telegraphs are those things that you see in the movies that they ring down, down to the engine room full astern. And then he spun the wheel. So they said from the Crow's Nest, it looked like they were going to hit it straight on, but just at the very last minute, the bow swung to the left. And
So if he hit it straight on, they would have been all right?
It would have probably crushed the bow in.
Oh.
And probably, it was 11:40 at night, so it probably would have killed a lot of crew members. But the ship would have stayed afloat.
Well, and then there wouldn't have been any movie.
A concern.
And that would have been the real tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
That's
Well, and speaking of movies, look at me. I am the segue queen, by the way, on this new show. So here we go. And we will get back to Titanic, everybody. If you are just tuning in, we are the O'Meara Show. If you want to give a ring-a-ding and talk about all this fun...
Ask a question. I'd love to hear it.
We would love you to give us a call. And I can give you that number in just a second. It's 818-691-3959. Again, 818-691-3959. And you can ask our historian any questions you like, and our actor, comic, and cartoonist, and non-Titanic survivor, John Keating.
I am a non-Titanic survivor.
But I bet living in Boston, you did the lobster boats
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
Gloucester.
Oh, yeah, the
So you
lobster
survived and the
boats.
whale watch.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The swan boats in the common.
Yeah.
That was a little rough riding there for a while.
But that
water gets choppy.
But that turns into an actual on-street car.
No, that's the duck boat.
Oh, sorry.
No,
okay.
the swan boats actually look like big swans, and they just go in the
See, I
Boston
thought they were
Common,
the
like the
same
little
thing.
lake in the Boston Common.
So they aren't the
No,
same
the duck
thing.
boat's the one that drives around,
And then it falls
and
into
then it
the...
goes into the water. And
Yeah.
then like
Sure.
a duck.
Yeah, like a
'Cause
duck.
It's got the wheels,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's got the boat part.
Have you ever been on the duck boat?
No,
Okay.
it looks unsafe.
It does.
I wouldn't go. I'm not going
So Paul, as you know, John Keating and Paul Jasek and myself all starred in Creative Differences, directed by Lauren E. Chatama
Yeah,
and
that
produced
was,
by Morgan Hall Productions. Thank you. But he has another movie coming out.
Oh, wonderful. What? Tell us.
Concessionaires Must Die, directed by America
Young.
Yeah. And we have a little clip.
Oh, fun.
We do. We have a video clip that's coming up. So tell me your part in this.
Oh, okay. I play John. He's the projectionist. The story revolves around an old single screen movie theater that's in its last days. It's closing down, and it's about the people that work there and what they're going to do with the rest of their lives, kind of thing. So I play the projectionist, kind of the father figure of the whole theater. So that's
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
What's the clip we're going to see?
We're going to
Is
see
this the trailer?
It's the trailer.
Oh,
the trailer?
We're going to see the trailer. And now tell everybody you shot actually here in Los Angeles.
We shot up in Fresno at the Warner Theater.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Up in Fresno, which was formerly Pantages, then Warner Brothers owned it, and then the city took it over, and now it's Warner's with an O. And it's this gorgeous old theater. We filmed it there for 2 weeks, and then we filmed it's in downtown LA for about a week.
Okay. And I think the clip's coming up. Is it up?
No one wants to grow up.
They really don't make enough TV shows and movies about robots nowadays.
Stop.
and face reality.
Isn't it bad for the environment for you to be burning all that stuff?
Most definitely. I'm always hoping that something like this is going to give me my superpower. Each of us at the Monarch had a reality we were avoiding.
Hiding away in the dark, watching movies. Life passes you by.
I don't know, I just want to leave and not know where the next day is going to take me.
Like the Incredible Hulk.
Just talk to her, dude.
Every time I do, I just freeze up.
Hi, RJ.
Hi, Heather.
Oh, you know the saying, no shirt, no shoes, cape, no service. Ashley!
And what I want you guys to know is that I take this job seriously. Just because it's in a movie theater, it doesn't matter.
But reality isn't about to wait.
I think I'm selling the theater to Derek.
Holy
You can't do that.
How do you lose this job?
They're opening a new facility up the street. They don't need us anymore. They're gonna close down the Monarch for good.
This theater's more my home than where I grew up. I always thought when I was nearing 30, I'd be doing something different than I was doing at 18.
I think we all just need to accept that the ride is over.
You know, sometimes it takes a drastic event to provoke action.
So, we'll deal with reality our way. This theater, I'm gonna save it.
The theater has some really unusual policies.
All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us.
Gandhi?
Gandalf.
That is so great,
It looks
John.
cool, right? Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Really? Now, did you executive produce? Did you?
No. I did some punch-up work on the script or whatever.
Uh-huh.
You know, I helped out with a draft.
It's wonderful.
Thanks. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, I'm
really,
so excited. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
It's great. I mean, and so for you guys that don't know John, he's not just one of my dearest friends. He is actually, you started out as a comic in
Yeah.
Boston. He did so much road in Boston.
I did so much road in and out of Boston.
Yeah, I did, and then he came to LA, and
So much road.
he's done so much great work. He was on Anger Management, The Middle. You were just in something recently, weren't you? Or am I totally wrong?
It was probably this. That might be what you're
That-
talking
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This we just finished filming this. Well, we filmed the first part, the stuff at the theater, which is like the bulk of the movie, was filmed in October, and then there was about a week of shooting in LA that was in February.
That's right. That's right. And then also, my favorite little note about you is that you ended up opening for Bare Naked Ladies.
I did. Yeah, that was a thrill.
Yeah, it was really good.
That's actually it's funny how I got that. I got a call from it was the company that booked my colleges back in Boston, and they owned the theater as well that they were having a show at, and it was supposed to be Dido, Guster, the band Guster, and Bare Naked Ladies. They have a holiday show, and Dido called in sick. So
Dido's Thank You Girl.
yeah.
I wanna thank you.
Yeah. So she
Okay.
called in sick. So I got called, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to open for Bare Naked Ladies down in Connecticut?" And I was like, "Yes, I do."
I do.
Like 5,000 people. It was great.
And they're adorable, and I love them.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They're so nice. They even invited me on stage to sing the encore with them. So.
And was
How cool is
that?
that?
No, they did. Do they know it's Christmas?
Oh, yeah, I love it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it was the holiday show. So yeah, I went on for that.
So what would you say? And folks, if you want to call and talk about the Titanic, 818-691-3959. We are talking about stand-up comedy, and sometimes that can be like the Titanic. But there's been some gigs that I've done
Few
with both of these boys
survivors.
that
Indeed.
few survivors end up, and a lot of people are frozen. At the end of it.
Wow. See.
Wow, nice segue. Nice.
Collects it all together. No one else in the
It's
business
seamless.
does it much like her.
I know. and
Mary's gonna sing "Let It Go."
I'm going to sing Let It Go. But we have no...
Underwater.
We don't know. Yeah, you don't have the rights to the lyrics. I don't think. Yeah.
Anyway,
You didn't hear that.
it's a parody. Anyway, so what I was going to say to you, and I know that you love being an actor.
Yes.
You
yeah,
do.
Yeah.
And you will come out of retirement and do the road with me when I call you and say, I need
Of course,
somebody."
yeah.
But I think that's really your passion now.
Acting?
Acting.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And
yeah.
so what's your feeling about comedy? Do you do it still?
I haven't done stand up in a couple of years. It's weird. I miss the shows themselves. Like I loved performing. You know, going up for a half hour, 40 minutes, whatever, and doing a show. And I love that part of it, but I just didn't enjoy the rest of it.
Do we have a caller? We have a caller!
Oh my goodness.
Joseph Godfrey
I know
wants
Joe,
to
yeah.
talk Titanic. This is
Excellent.
so exciting. Let's hear it.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the O'Mary
Hey,
Show.
what's up, Joe? How are you?
Hi. This is Joe God. I wanted to say hi to John Keating. I know him from Twitter.
That's right. He's one of the when we did our Kickstarter for concessionaires in October of 2010. Joe was one of our big backers. He was one of our main guys. He was really getting the word out.
All right.
Well, but you know what I mean. Like he was a big supporter of the effort. And was really,
yeah. I can't wait. I'm really excited for it.
So do you have a question about Titanic?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there any word about billionaire Clive Palmer's Titanic 2? Is there any word on that?
There is word. In fact, I was all my ship geek friends are a buzz about it, all on Twitter, by the way, that it looks like he is in final funding for it. You know, most of the cabins are already sold on a ship that hasn't been finished.
I heard that, yeah.
So,
it's a sequel to the ship, not the movie.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
No, they're actually rebuilding it.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Almost a word. It's a 2-class ship, you know. There's just, you can go a little Spartaner. It's mostly first class. But certainly there will be enough lifeboats on Titanic 2 to handle everyone.
That's probably the first thing they'll check.
Yeah. But they're being pretty as I see some of the plans for it, they're being pretty honest to the original.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting. If you were given the chance, would you make the crossing?
I sure would.
Well, me too. I'll see
I'd
you
be right on the bow of the deck right there, just king of the world, and it all the way through.
I was going to say I would meet you in the Palm Court. I'll buy you a hot lemonade.
There you go. You guys can reenact that scene.
That'd be great.
King of the world.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. You know, that would have never actually happened. Passengers would have never been allowed that far forward.
Well,
So, yeah. So, because my friend Joe Sauter was the technical advisor for Jim Cameron. So when I went to see the movie, I didn't actually watch, Kate Winslet or Leo DiCaprio.
Right.
I was watching all around it.
Oh, sure, the whole ship.
To
and
watch
stuff,
the rest of it. It was pretty incredible. Jim Cameron, his devotion to detail, he built 600 feet of Titanic to scale. And Titanic herself was 880 feet, and it was all on a riser system down in Ensenada.
Oh, okay.
So they could do the braking and all of that.
Oh, actually, when I went on a cruise, I think we went by
it?
where I think it's the same lot over there. They have like the Pirates of the Caribbean, the Black Pearl.
Yeah. It's because they have enough room down there.
Yeah.
And which was a problem when they were doing some of the shots out on the deck because it was so hot and all that Edwardian, costumes.
Sure, yeah.
Those poor women are wearing hats that are 15 pounds and it's
Everything's
110
velvet.
degrees. Yeah. And they're like. For the poor original women, on Titanic, it was freezing out that night. But,
So I have a question for you.
Please.
And folks, if you want to call in and ask Paul a question about Titanic or ask John a question about what it's like being friends with me, 818-691-3959.
I can fill you all in about that. What it's like.
So this is the question, because you wanted me to pick 5 questions.
I did.
And I already asked you one. And we probably can't remember it because I talked too fast. But anyway, here is my question.
Mm-hmm.
You just stated to Joe, who called us, that there wasn't enough lifeboats
correct.
for the Titanic. So I don't understand. You were a flight attendant.
Indeed.
And you guys are not going to take flight if you guys don't have enough, what are they called?
Life vests.
Life vests. You're not gonna fly the plane unless everybody has a safety accoutrement.
Well, and to be fair, Paul also wasn't a flight attendant in the 1920s.
Or 1912.
1912, yeah. So there you go, yeah.
Which actually that.
So they might the safety
answer.
regulations, yeah.
That is exactly the
changed,
answer. Shipbuilding had grown so quickly from 1907 to 1910. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's why. So they didn't realize.
Because it had really moved so rapidly. Steam turbine engines were used on Lusitania and Mauretania that came out in 1907, and they held the Atlantic record. So by 1910 and 11, when Olympic and Titanic were being built, Harlan and Wolff, that built Olympic and Titanic, had a discussion, and they thought, since shipbuilding these were mammoth ships, that they really, Captain Smith, who went down with Titanic, said, the safety measures that are coming out in today's, seagoing world, he can't imagine how a ship could founder. So therefore, instead of cluttering up the decks with a bunch of lifeboats on one of the safest ships in the world, they would just keep within the current guidelines that was specified by the Board of Trade. So they had just about a third of the lifeboats available. They had
so it was just like the bare minimum of.
And they had something called collapsibles. that were basically just a raft that had canvas sides that you could raise. That was one of the last ones off the ship that actually flipped over. So it was face down, so some of the men in the water were able to clamber up on this overturned collapsible, and they stood in freezing water up to mid-thigh for 6 hours, waiting for, in fact, when the Carpathia, the rescue ship, came up, they thought they were standing on a funnel because they could see them, but people were...
So here's another odd question.
Mm-hmm.
We both come from Massachusetts, which is pretty well on the East Coast, the east side of it. It's all water.
Yeah.
You know, so you probably learned how to swim very early on.
Mm-hmm.
I did too. So did a lot of these passengers know how to swim?
Well, whether they knew how to swim or not, once they hit the water, it was 28 degrees.
Okay.
Hypothermia hits. You have about 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's an easy way. You go to sleep.
Like in comparison, Hampton Beach in New Hampshire, where you're like, oh, I can't even go in there, it hurts my feet. That's probably about like 60 degrees.
Or in Orchard Beach, Maine.
Yeah, that's why.
my
So
comparison,
when I was watching James Cameron's Titanic, where Rose finally, she's laying there on...
I do like how you refer to it by its full name.
James Cameron's Titanic.
Because there were so many versions.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, there was Unsinkable Molly Brown. Was that
which
one?
had nothing to do.
No?
She was
a character in it.
Yeah,
right?
Maggie Brown was on board, but
Okay,
she was never known as Molly in her life.
Oh, okay.
She was known as, her name was Margaret Tobin Brown. But that's why I always refer to James Cameron's Titanic. So Rose clambers off the thing, and she grabs the whistle out of the guy's, bless you.
We don't have the rights to
Now, if it's 28 degrees, that whistle, not only should she yanked it out of his mouth, his lips should have gone with it.
Right.
You know,
So that was wrong.
I'm like, wow.
Did you check?
I did.
Check that off?
That's
that
how
was
I went.
wrong.
And of course, I have.
They wouldn't be on the front of the ship.
No.
Lips would have
I'm a
came with
pain
the
in the
whistle.
ass to go. You know, and a friend of mine sat in the theater and saw it 14 times.
Let me ask you then, as an expert on the Titanic.
May I help you?
Yes.
He could have fit on that damn dresser. There was enough room for that guy on that dresser. She togged that whole thing at the end of that movie.
Yeah, well, Jack and Rose never existed, so it doesn't matter.
But still, you're the expert.
Yeah.
Your opinion.
Yeah, I would have shoved her off. That's
Right?
The way,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a
That's
flight
a huge
attendant.
bitch.
That's it. Yeah, I can't help anybody else unless I'm warming together.
Right,
so,
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and on a more...
Help yourself to help others.
Exactly.
That's
You
right.
can't help anybody. Put the oxygen mask on yourself
see?
first.
Exactly.
Right. Well, and on a somber note, before
Yeah,
we go
'cause
to
this is-
commercial break. No, I do. What's so great about the O'Meara Show is that we do a lot of stuff on Facebook
What
and
is so
Twitter.
great about
You know,
O'Meara
Twitter
Show?
at MK Comedy. What's great about it is we actually had a woman reach out, Kit Gruel, whose great-grandfather died on the Titanic, and she was supposed to call in, but she was rerouted on her plane. But she wrote a little something about which I find very interesting. She wrote, she was adopted as a baby. The only piece of information she had about her birth family was that her grandfather, Reverend Robert Bateman, had perished on the Titanic. When she found her birth mother, she filled in the details. It is believed that he was the only one who had the band play "Nearer My God to Thee" as it began to sink. What I find isn't that interesting?
The band played on.
Yeah. What I find so amazing is that he had gone to the UK to get his sister-in-law, who agreed to help at the shelter he and his wife ran in Jacksonville, Florida, for homeless women and children. So now Kit works as an advocate for battered women and children for almost 30 years. Knowing what I know about him makes me feel that I'm finishing something he started.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
That's wonderful. Thank you,
That's
Kit,
really
for
cool.
reaching out and sharing that with us.
And she has a new film that's going to appear on HBO in October called PrivateViolence.com, which does explore the violence against women and how we can change
Well, you know
it.
what 50,000 battered women have.
Oh,
in common.
stop. You can't do that right now. No.
Oh,
Wow, a bunch of comedians and you can't go there? Wow. We can do it about Titanic. We can't because they just don't listen. There it is. That's it.
PrivateViolence.com. Thank
Because why share it?
The more you know. Thanks,
Oh my
Paul.
gosh.
Yeah, you know, that was a little...
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there you have it. But anyway, see, he did a joke. It is kind of... Was it offensive?
A little offensive.
Yeah.
Do you feel uncomfortable?
No.
Do you need a snack?
I always need a snack.
No, anyway. But no, PrivateViolence.com, Sundance, HBO. So there we have it. And guess what time it is? Guess what time it is? It's time for a commercial. We're going to go into commercial in just a second. For what?
Daddy Don's Tax Service. Watch
Oh.
this segue. So as entertainers,
We get audited a lot.
Well, no, as entertainers, the famous band on board,
Yeah.
as Titanic went down, they had a problem. They were not part of the crew, nor are they passengers.
Oh, this is a good story.
So they were not allowed, really, any space in the lifeboat. That's why they continued to play.
Really?
They had nothing else to do. So, ship goes down. It's horrible. It's sad.
Yeah.
Okay. The surviving families got a letter from their agent saying, unfortunately, we realized they had not paid off their uniforms. Here's a bill forthwith.
That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
That's amazing.
For
Show
their
business is
uniforms.
awesome.
Yeah, isn't it awesome?
That's
Even back in
kinda like
1912.
when you work for Knott's Berry Farm.
Wow. Be our sponsor, please. Knott's Berry
Did you
Farm.
steal a Snoopy costume?
I did. I'm still paying it off.
There it
That's
is.
great.
I'm taking your jam.
Daddy Don Tax Service, everybody. You have how many days till tax day?
5 days.
Yeah, the 15th,
That's
right?
Because April 15th, the Titanic sank, and your taxes are due.
Yeah.
So here we go with Little Daddy Don commercial. We're going to go to a little break, and we'll be back.
We'll be back in a minute.
Why so glum?
Oh, Mary, I'm swamped. And I haven't done my taxes yet.
Oh, Paul, call Daddy Don.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Daddy Don's Tax Service.
You know their mission. To surpass client expectations and providing tax services, which are accurate, concise, and understood. They take pride in exceeding clients' needs and concerns regarding tax and financial decisions. I mean, Paul, they're perfect.
You're right. If you're out there and if you're in need, behind, and facing IRS problems, contact Daddy Don's Tax Service. It's easy to remember. It's daddydon.com. Go there now.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Are you hungry?
Oh, yeah.
Daddy Don Tax Service,
Daddy
everybody.
Don's Tax Service.
So, John, why are you dying over here?
I don't know. It's great. I like that. It's like an old TV show. Like you guys did the commercial, the live commercial.
See?
Yeah.
And Paul wrote it. See?
I did.
That's what
There
we
you
do
are.
here at the O'Mary Show.
That's what you do. It's your full service.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
like that. Yeah, I like that.
Well-
No outside commercials come in. We'll do it.
No.
We'll just do it. We'll do it.
We'll get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but if anyone else, Knott's Berry Farm, if you want to sponsor. Anyway, now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for That's Just Not Funny. You ready?
I am.
Okay, so this is our live bumper. We don't have pre-recorded bumper.
So if you thought that was funny.
All right, so here we go. All right.
It's just not funny. It's just not funny. It's just not funny with John and Mary and Paul.
Oh, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
We don't have royalty for this.
This is illegal.
That's not funny.
It is
Oh,
funny.
that's a buffer.
Isn't that fun?
That's kind of like a buffer.
That's
a
great.
buffer.
Yes. Angelo.
Oh,
Bravo.
Angelo. Bless your heart.
So our first one, everybody. We need the graphic of the Jesus
Oh,
karate.
yeah, these are great. Jesus Christ.
we got a little. So Paul,
Mary.
when you're looking for a church, what do you look for? I'll get it up on my phone.
Adequate stained glass.
Okay, what else?
Cute choir boys.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, because the kneeling thing's real important.
Oh, sure. Great.
And thank you. And Gothic arches are good.
Okay, but are you thinking of like you want somebody who will understand you if you have a problem? You can.
I'm not looking to date them. I'm looking for a church.
You're looking for church, but are you looking for the religious part of it?
Well, I'm a Buddhist, Episcopal, Jewish
Okay,
Wiccan.
so you're
I
just going to date.
I just shop also for snacks because Episcopalians always after service.
Oh,
best
yeah,
snacks.
yeah. Lutherans, too.
Yeah, they do
Yeah.
nice coffee. Yeah.
Well, this is our first. That's just not funny.
Uh huh.
Do you see the Jesus logo there? He's
I
doing his
do.
little karate move.
Nice.
Churches now, Christian churches are now organizing fight clubs to get more parishioners. That's true.
Nice. Bruises for Jesus.
Yeah.
Nice.
So wait, so they're organized. Like, how is that? They're getting parishioners. Like, if you lose, you have to join the church.
Listen to this. If your particular brand of Christianity includes the biblical principle of turning the other cheek, you may find a trend among some of the country's churches disturbing. And in an upcoming documentary, Fight Church,
Wow.
filmmakers take a fascinating look at the practice of religious institutions, creating fight clubs in an effort to boost membership.
But I'm still. How is it? So they're getting the audience, and then they're passing out like pamphlets to the audience.
Or do you get to pick somebody in the audience to kick the crap out of?
Yeah, like how is it?
You
Okay,
know.
hold on.
Mrs. Collier in the second row, you drag her out by her little prayer beads and just beat the crap out of her in the center
So listen,
aisle.
this is Fox
It is
LA.
like, it is like Jesus said, feed the hungry, clothe
Beat
the
the poor.
naked,
Oh, yeah.
and lock on a key lock.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as far as I know, hundreds of churches in the nation do it. This is from Fox LA, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Maybe more. And according to the directors, beyond the hundreds of churches that boast organized or informal fight ministries, there are apparently many more that include some sort of mixed martial arts as a component of their men's program.
WWJD.
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
Pastors defend this, everybody.
Yeah.
And they will tell you that nowhere does the Bible specifically, as I lost my feed here, specifically, cover for me somebody. Yeah, please.
Specifically.
Specifically.
Prohibit sport fighting.
Oh, well, you know, and also nowhere does the Bible specifically prohibit gay people either. So, so there you go.
That's
Yeah.
just not funny.
That's just not funny. Thank you.
All right, here's our next one.
Beautifully done.
That was beautiful. I love that. Here's our next one.
I figured that might be where you were going. Sorry,
It's great. No, that's what we want from our comic cartoonist friends over here. So here's my question to you: Do you ever eat hot peppers just for fun? This is a segue.
Is this a segue?
Yeah.
This isn't still the Fight Club?
No, we're done with Fight Club.
Okay, so
hot peppers.
Yes,
Look,
I do. I do like hot peppers.
You
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I walking into something?
Are you walking into
I
something?
haven't been here yet, Tom, so I don't know. You may have to go by yourself here.
Right.
Okay, so unfortunately, and this is a downer, but it's a segue. You know, our schools are unsafe.
Yeah.
Our schools have been unsafe. We're having trouble on their school
Our
grounds.
schools, as
This
in
is
just
from
LA or
Colorado,
in
so all of you
so-
that are in Colorado, I understand what happened here. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so not only are they unsafe because there's bullying and all sorts
Yeah.
of things,
Stabbings.
and stabbings and all that,
Veggies.
but now in Colorado, a school needed to be evacuated and a hazmat crew needed to be brought in, and they all had to have silkwood showers. Why, you're asking? Because some student decided to throw habanero peppers into the wood chips in the playground.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing. I wish they did that from like our gym lockers back then. That would have been welcome. I would have loved to take a silkwood shower after.
They're toxic and they're mean and they're cheaper than mace, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they make pepper spray with, right?
Exactly.
Exactly right.
So students coming in after recess reported eye and skin irritations. 30 kids and a student aide were taken into to the hospital.
We don't much care about the asbestos that's flowing down
No,
from the
but,
overhead, like snow.
But someone threw nachos into it.
Yeah, and it was delicious. And the rest of the 30 were evacuated and brought to a church down the street where they had a fight club.
That was great. That was good. That was good. You tied it all together.
Okay. I love that. That's Allie Willis. Allie
That
Willis
is Allie
wrote that.
Willis wrote
That's
that.
very good, yeah.
We might actually be able to play that one.
We might be able to. We actually could.
She's been on the show.
So here's habaneros
Sure. Oh, sorry.
generally score between 100,000 and 350,000 units on the Scoville scale, which measures chili pepper hotness.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's bad.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So these jalapeno peppers that were strewn about the
Yeah.
chips were 2,500 to
No,
5,000.
habanero. That's different than jalapeno, right?
No, it's habanero. These
Yeah,
are
yeah,
the
yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
These are
These-
not
yeah.
the stuff you get at El Torito.
No.
No,
These
no.
are-
Those are the ones that are usually
Long
like
yellow.
dried out,
Yeah.
like in a lot of Chinese food and stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hot.
When you grind or step
Can I say
on,
Chinese food? Is that all right?
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, you can.
When you grind or step on the habanero peppers, capsaicin particles can be released into the air. Breathing them or getting them in your eyes can cause a burning sensation. This is a follow-up to one of our other That's Just Not Funny. The sriracha plant down
The
in
sriracha-
Irwindale
yeah.
is being cited for many, many, many violations because the smell is so bad. And arid, as they say. Arid. So that's just not funny. Right?
Yep, that's right.
That's not funny.
No, that's not funny.
It's
No,
not funny.
Bless you, Angelo.
So this is
So
our
third
last
one. Here
one.
we
Now,
go.
this is an
Let's
awful
see.
joke, and I have two
Segue.
incredible comics with me that are going to hate me for this one. In honor of the Titanic show that we're doing,
Oh, dear.
100-year-old message in a bottle is plucked from the Baltic Sea.
That's sweet.
It's sweet. It is. There it is, everybody.
Plucked.
Plucked. Okay. So here's the story. On a nature hike along Germany's Baltic coast in 1913, 20-year-old Richard Platts scrawled a note on a postcard, shoved it in a brown beer bottle, and sent it on its way.
Shoved it in her bra. Sent it on its way.
Where it traveled, no one
Godspeed,
knows.
young lady.
Where it traveled, no one knows for sure, but it was pulled out of the Baltic Sea by a fisherman last month, not far from where Platts had lived. This is thought to be the oldest message in a bottle. But here's the joke, everybody. When they took the message out of the bottle, when they took it out, there it is to the side, it was unreadable because of the damage, because it was so old. So there was no message in the bottle. None. Zip. So it really wasn't a message in a bottle.
There was a paper in a bottle.
There you go. That's just not funny.
You're right.
Wow. You're exactly
You're
right.
really
There is
accurate.
nowhere to go with that, Mare.
Yeah. I like how you said this is the joke.
And both John and I looked at each other. There's nowhere to go with it.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
But can you imagine expecting a message in the bottle and there's nothing?
What if it had just been one of those annoying, amazingly long receipts from CVS? Oh, look, we can get hair products.
You
10%
saved,
off.
yeah, you saved 37 cents today.
Hey!
So that's just not funny. I love that segment.
I know you do. I know,
love it.
sweet thing.
So now we are at.
Let's see the segue.
Well, we're gonna get there. We're actually a little bit early, which is good.
Yeah.
So the phone number, everybody, again, for those that don't have it, it will come up in a second. 818-691-3959. Give us a call. Ask Paul a question about the Titanic or what hair product he uses.
I don't have any hair, Mary.
And John Keating about his new
Who
movie.
has fabulous hair.
He does. Concessionaire's
It's pretty
Must
good.
Die.
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
is.
good.
It's pretty
It's
good.
half
Yeah.
Italian,
Yeah.
half Irish, yeah.
Yeah.
Please give us a call. 818-691-3959. Now, you have a lot of ship geeks. You
I
said,
do.
Which are we
I
allowed to
do.
say that?
Ship geeks, you bet.
I like how you've had service industry on almost all major forms of transportation.
Well, yes. As a matter of fact,
you-
I've lived my life in uniform.
You really have. Like
I've been a cheerleader. I've been a waiter.
Yeah. Like we just need you maybe like on a train. We'll get you on a train.
Were you ever a conductor?
Like
Not yet, but I looked into it.
Have you
Working for
at
Amtrak.
Have you at least delivered a drink on a train?
I have.
All right, so that might count.
Yeah, I was part
On
of
a
an
Greyhound
emergency
bus?
evacuation on
Yeah.
a train when the train ran over a truck on my way to San Juan Capistrano.
Oh, that's right. I
I
remember
was
that.
stuck 8 hours on a train.
That sounds like the beginning of like a country song.
Doesn't it?
I ran over a truck on the way to
San Juan Capistrano. I did.
Yeah,
There you go.
He's right, Johnny on the spot with that.
Oh,
He's great. We
Angela
love
Sargent.
It's like
Angela.
the morning zoo.
Angela Pisu. I hope I pronounced your name right. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, Pizu.
Pisu. There we go. So here's my. Is it fourth question at this moment?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
It is my 4th question. So here on the Titanic, okay, you know, always when we're evacuating for an emergency, it's always children and women first. That didn't necessarily happen on the Titanic.
No, it did.
Did it really?
That's where women and children first. The captain knew. They struck the iceberg at 11:40.
Okay.
By midnight, he was firmly convinced the ship was going to founder.
Okay. The captain.
Founder is what it's called.
Founder. When a ship goes under, the ship will founder. And he figured they could see the lights of another ship, and they kept signaling it. They shot off rockets.
Right.
In the movie, it looks like fireworks because it's a flare that goes up and then bursts. It was White Star for the White Star Line. So now, standing 10 miles off is the Californian, which was a tramp steamer. But at that time in 1912, you did not have to have your wireless system on 24 hours a day. They had turned theirs off. So there's one guy, he's bored. They're stopped because of the ice. He's watching this old ship shoot rockets and not do anything. He finally notifies the captain. He said, I'm seeing a large steamer, and shooting rockets. He said, well, keep an eye on it and let me know. It appeared to the guy with his naked eye. He could see it turn, which may have been when the ship actually
hit. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, no, it had shot a couple of rockets by this time, so it was in trouble.
Oh, okay.
But it may have listed.
Yeah.
And disappear. So he figured, well, now what do I do? So the Californian was one of the last ships to the rescue scene so Captain Smith on Titanic could see this ship. So women and children first into the lifeboats because they must be able to see us. They must be able to hear us.
Right,
We're sending
right.
this out. The Olympic, the Titanic's sister ship, was 59 miles away, and they caught the signal.
Yeah.
Now, Bruce Sarnoff caught it in New York on a powerful wireless set, and he later on became the head of ABC Broadcasting.
Oh wow.
Back then, he was a kid, and he was letting the world know that Titanic was in trouble.
Yeah.
He was like a little radio host.
He was, and wireless would become very important to him. Nice, Mary.
Yeah, no,
Segue. So
you might be the
that was
head
the
of ABC
thought
one of these days.
of Women and Children First, because their help would be on the way.
But in the movie, and this is our segue into this Ghost of the Abyss. In the movie, there was a couple of male characters that were like pushing women and children out of the way to get on the boat.
Well, here's the uncomfortable statistic.
Yeah.
More first-class men were saved than third-class children.
There it is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's upsetting.
Now, part of that is, it happens now when you get on an airliner. First class, that curtain is drawn across the front. You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah. You don't know what's going on up there.
Yeah.
There's
Well, and
orgies.
you haven't paid for the privilege.
I was on one flight. There was a pony up there.
No, there was not. Shut up. Shut up.
Wow.
Shut it.
They gave each first class member a pony.
Pony?
It
That's
was
not. What
fun,
nice.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, and here's the thing. Shut up. And I'm so gullible. That's another thing. Like John could say that, that there was a unicorn up there, and I'd be like,
Parks, I apologize. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
No, you're not. This has been a good show, actually. It really has. 818-691-3959. I just like saying that.
This has been a good show.
So, Ghost of the Abyss. Talk to me about that.
So James
'Cause we have a
Cameron
clip
had tons of money, obviously, and the success from Titanic. He in those opening shots, briefly, my favorite shot in the whole movie is when Gloria Stewart, as the aged Rose, is brought on board the ship, and they've brought things up from her cabin.
Yeah.
Right.
It made me cry in the theater. The only thing, she picks up her hand mirror and turns it over, and when she does, the look on her face, she goes, "Oh," because last time she'd looked in that mirror, she was 20. And now she's 101. It was her take.
She was 101?
It was her take into the mirror that I went, oh, that brought it really at home for me. Gloria Stewart's work in just that minute. So Jim Cameron went back to the wreck of Titanic, and with a bathyscaphe, which you're seeing here, went down to explore the wreck, and had amazing footage. If you have a chance, I saw Ghost from the Abyss here at Universal in 3D on the IMAX screen.
Didn't he invent cameras too for the filming and stuff?
Because Titanic, it broke near the surface, and the front half planed down beautifully. The last half almost imploded.
Well, and Bill Patton is in this too, right?
He is.
Yeah.
It was in James
Paxton. Excuse me, Bill Paxton.
James. This is bits and pieces from Titanic.
From the shooting of it.
Yeah, from the shooting of Titanic. But to go down. In fact, there's
so it's coming soon. Yeah.
a shot in here. I don't know if it's in here. One of the first class areas was called the Turkish Baths, and it was ornate, beautiful divans and inlaid cherry wood and all of that. When they managed to get that far down into the wreck and
there's
go
pieces
in,
of the wreck, right? Yeah.
you can see the beautiful tile work, and
This is
it's
interesting.
all
I know it is.
still pretty pristine. To think those last few minutes of tragedy and horror.
So this is my fifth question. See? Is there treasure to be had down there now? I know it sounds ridiculous.
Well,
like Pirates
here's
of the Caribbean.
there was a lot of very expensive. There's a jeweled copy of Omar Khayyam's Rubaiyat. I mean, it was like diamonds and rubies and emeralds and jewelry. A lot of the first class passengers left with just the clothes on their backs.
And they all brought like trunk. They were like the Howells.
Well, yeah, exactly. The Wideners, the Wideners traveled with about 19 trunks.
Yeah.
Beautifully packed by their maid Victorine.
Right.
And so all of that, in theory, should have been there.
Did anybody recover the naked picture of Kate Winslet?
Yeah. Well, that's my friend that saw it 14 times in the theater. She was going on and on about how she loved it, and she knew I was part of the Titanic, geekdom. And I said, it's not bad for a gay movie. She said, huh? I said, well, let's look at some facts. So Leo and his boyfriend win tickets to Titanic. Yeah. She goes, boyfriend? I said, oh, yeah. They're running. They get on board. They're playing. They're in a room with other 4 men. She's like, don't do this. I said, sure.
Butt buddies.
That's it. And so he's having a smoke out on the deck.
Violent. That was so aggressive.
Didn't it?
That was so aggressive.
And here comes Kate. She's having a bad time, but it's a lot of shots of the dress, shoes, shoes over the railing, shoes down. Yeah, I don't know that he was so into her or the shoe. I'm not sure. It's very blurred.
But they had sex in the car.
No, she's raping him. He's trying to get out. That's clawing at the window. He's trying to find the door handle. She shows the yabos. Look at these babies. He's got his head down.
He's drawing. He's
not
very busy.
looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had dates like that.
Yeah,
I
see?
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he would rather freeze to death than climb up on that thing and
Well, see?
owner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like that. Oh, how many straight men do you know tap dance? Just saying, down in third class.
Irish, we do.
We don't.
See, I gotta say. So when they're plunging, what does he push his tongue in her mouth? No, kisses her on the forehead. I do that when I put the kids to bed. So they are big, and it's all about jewelry. Big gay film. She slugged me once and hasn't talked to me since.
Well,
so,
and this
big
is
gay film.
This is for Parks Stevenson,
Parks
for all
Stevenson.
your historical, and I have great respect for them. I really do. I'm so glad that they're watching
Indeed.
and all that stuff. What is their real feeling about the Titanic movie?
With the movie?
Most of them felt they watched around it for all of the
recreation.
Yeah,
of it,
especially when it's beginning to split. Cameron made the choice to use real pine or real oak because oak splinters differently than plywood.
Oh, okay.
So the reproduction was exact to what we could have because there was not that much photographic evidence of Titanic because the Olympic had come out the year before, so there's lots of photographs about that. But Titanic was sort of an afterthought. They'd do the maiden voyage and then maybe get some more promotional shots. So actual photographs of Titanic, there are not that many.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's interesting. Like I saw that movie. Actually, I was on the road, and I went and saw it. And when you see it in a theater, it's really it's really cool. Then when you watch it like at home, it doesn't hold up as well. You kind of need the big screen because it's about the boat. I mean, it's about the ship. Really.
Well, and Gravity's like that too.
Yeah, is it? Yeah.
Well, what's interesting, there's a woman by the name of Violet Jessup, and she was a stewardess on Titanic, and she managed to survive. So she would then, as the world went to war, she would become a nurse, and she was there were three ships planned for the White Star Line. The Olympic came out first, Titanic, and then Britannic. So Britannic was the third of what they call the Olympic class liners, built much the same, although the world had gone to war, so they were going to use it as a hospital ship. So they really didn't finish the interiors, but they were basically going to look like Olympic and Titanic. So Violet is on board. It's a hospital ship in the Aegean. It hits a mine and blows up. For the second time, Violet finds herself on the same sort of ship as it goes under.
Oh, man.
She survived Britannic as well. This time she had a chance to run back to her cabin. She knew probably what was happening, to grab her toothbrush, because when she was shipwrecked on Titanic, she couldn't find one.
Why would you go back?
She figured she had enough time. From the ship.
No, why would you go back on a ship?
Yeah, would you ever go back on a ship again?
There were no planes, Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I would just stay home.
Well,
there's nowhere I need to go
by
that bad.
1917, she needed a job, basically.
Oh, yeah.
She swallowed a lot of cork. She almost got chewed up in the propeller, but she was a feisty thing. I would actually travel with Violet, because the chance of her ever being in any sort of accident, mileage to Neptune.
Although the chance of her being in two massive shipwrecks of the same class of ship was probably...
Yeah.
Well, traveling with
Pretty
Paul. Okay, so I've traveled both on the road with both of you. Paul is incredible on the plane with me. I don't like to fly, but with him I know I'm completely safe because he was a flight attendant. Yeah. So I'm totally fine. You, however, let me drive, which was a bad choice.
Wow. See, John Keating, what are you thinking?
I hate driving.
Crazy bastard.
I hate.
And I'm horrible. I'm a horrible driver.
You hate to drive?
Huh? I don't like driving. No.
Really?
I don't enjoy it. If I don't have to drive, I won't.
Right.
I will never not drive when I'm working with Mary. It is the most terrifying.
Isn't it amazing?
Going down
the choices
the 405
she makes
down to San Diego.
Yeah, the choices she makes are phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The choices she makes.
Yeah. She races up to a green light.
Yeah.
She guns it for a red light. Choice is amazing.
Yeah.
Screaming at people in other lanes.
Yeah.
And then deciding.
And just swerving. Like she'll talk to you. And she'll look at you as she's talking. And
you
the
have
car
to watch because
just drifts.
Because she will follow where her head goes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So, did you see that place with the snacks?
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, and here's
And
a little before our final notes. We have some great pictures of the Titanic at port before she left, and then we have some rescue lifeboats that I pulled.
Oh, excellent! Let's have a glance.
And it was interesting what the lifeboats looked like. They didn't look like they could hold as many as they did.
Well, and they didn't hold that many. The first one went off with only 28 people. It could have held 65.
Oh, right, yeah.
Really?
That was in the movie, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
And part of that is John Jacob Astor, who his wife Madeline.
His name is my name too.
There they are. Do you see?
They are. They were very small. He
65 people in that?
Yeah. Which still, even if all of them were filled.
Yeah.
So that would have been 65 times. How many lifeboats were there?
12. Yeah.
So 650
Yeah.
and whatever. So like.
I want to watch that.
Yeah.
I want to watch that math.
Did you watch that?
Look at those.
In fact, they're busy sandpapering the name off those, so people wouldn't. Looters had picked them clean during the night. That's when the Carpathia picked them up and brought them back into. It's the only piece of Titanic that made it to America.
Was the lifeboats?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And there's at the port.
That's in Southampton. She's just cast off.
And John Keating was there.
And John's there. There he
I
is.
survived, guys. I'm good.
It's a little foggy. It's a great photograph.
Wow, look at that. And so I want you to say.
102 years today that photograph was taken.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question about.
By the way, you know the fourth funnel?
Thank you. That's what I want you to
It's
talk
a
about.
dummy funnel. Because the boiler system only used smokestacks 1, 2, and 3. The fourth one was to balance out the line.
So for the eye,
for the
looks.
Yeah, for the looks. They were beautiful.
Yeah.
The Olympic class liners were beautiful. They were much like a private yacht.
Yeah.
They were
But
very
yet
classic.
they were
Where the Mauritania and the Lusitania were, they were gutsy little girls. They had a turbine system, and they were not as plush. Olympic or Titanic's interiors were beautiful.
What?
Really
How many people were on it?
2,200.
And that was that the max capacity, or was
No, there were still a few. In fact, as I said, the only millionaire there wasn't on board was J. Pierpont Morgan.
Right.
So his suite went unused, but it had its own private promenade with a pebble dashing and a suite was up to 3 or 4 rooms.
Right.
So it was lovely. Where people down in steerage, they had a wash basin, and you had to make an appointment with the bath steward.
Really? To go pee?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would be a problem for me. Yeah, that would be no good.
You had a chamber pot for at night. That went on to the Queen
That's
Mary
like
in the
Game
30s. Of Thrones. John's not liking it. He's like, oh, no.
So here's if people want to really see like what the Titanic was like, is the Queen Mary a good example?
The Queen Mary is much larger than Titanic.
Long Beach.
Yeah, in Long Beach. She's 1,019 and a half feet long.
Okay.
Titanic was 880 feet long. Titanic was 46,000 tons. The Queen Mary's twice the size at 81,000.
Okay.
So she's twice the size. And shipbuilding had moved along. Technology had moved. Titanic had 3 screws. They're called not propellers. Propellers are on planes. Screws are on ships.
Oh, okay.
That's why they used to have it over when I was a Queen Mary tour guide. There's an ability to step outside the ship and look down. You're actually outside the ship and see the last remaining screw. And a very correct person put screw room. Well, no. Yeah. So it's now the aft propeller room. So but there are several exhibits. There's a wonderful exhibit in Branson. There's also an exhibit at Branson, Missouri. There's also an exhibit in Pigeon Forge of Titanic. It shows some interesting things. One of them, it will give you it's an elevator that you're on the deck as it begins to tilt all the way up, so you can see how you would hold on or how you could.
It's like
how many waivers do you have to sign before you go on that?
Yeah.
It's like exactly. It's like the earthquake exhibit at California Science Center.
Yeah. Well, you can tell Paul is an expert at this because he doesn't say the Titanic. He says, "Well, on Titanic."
See?
Did you notice that?
Oh,
He doesn't say the. When you say the Titanic, he would subtly correct you.
Well, and as I know. Well, that's the story of my life. That's the story. But here we are in our final notes, everybody. And then we are going to play the song at the end of our show.
Yeah, Song d'Automne.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you gonna sing it?
No. It's the. But everybody on our bedside list. We have a bedside list,
Which is like Oprah's book list.
Okay.
but not. And
But not
trademarked like Oprah's book.
No.
Not yet.
The one that we're showcasing this week is Life is Not a Reality Show by Kyle Richards, the star of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And she owns Kyle by Aileen 2 in Beverly Hills as well. And we just love her. So get that book. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it on Kindle, blah, blah, blah.
Have you read it?
I have.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed every minute of it. It did. If you are interested in reaching out to us at Twitter, at MK Comedy. John, what's your Twitter for everybody?
At J Keats, JKEATS. And if you want to check out the Concessionaires trailer, you can go to cmdthemovie.com.
And then we are doing 2 live shows. Friday, May 2nd, we'll be doing a live vodcast that we'll be filming in front of a live audience. And then again on Friday, July 18th. So go to omirashow.com for more information, or johnlovittscomedynetwork.com. And we just want to thank, like we always do, the John Lovitz Comedy Club and Podcast Theater, Mark Short, Christine Sorge, Dee Burdett, Angelo Pisu, Mary Donovan, Tom DeFleur, Charles Hall at Morgan Hall Productions, Liza Kranis, Shane Salk, John Paul Capiello, Brenda Giuliano, sorry, Sandy Harris, Harlan Bowl, and for John Keating, we're so glad that you're here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
Indeed.
And then we will be going out with the
Oh, Song d'Automne.
Tell us
Near
a
My
little
God to Thee was probably played somewhere during the evening, but this is most survivors. This is what they heard as the last song before the
wow, bummer.
before the
it's
deck
great to
canted.
end on a high
You know, Wallace Hartley, who was the band leader,
Yes.
his body was recovered, and his violin was still strapped to his chest.
Oh wow.
Which is now up for auction next
Oh,
week.
it's still
They've recovered the violin.
Wow. What's
So-
that go for?
I don't know. Here's the deal. When and Joe Sauter and I had this discussion when he opened the exhibit here at the Museum of Science and Industry. We walked through, and it was amazing to me because there was an actual piece of the hull. Giant piece. In fact, when I was flying, it came.
Oh, so
from
there are
Boston.
pieces that were recovered.
That were
The
recovered.
only part that made it to America was the lifeboat.
Yeah, this now
at that
has been-
time,
At
but
that
now
time,
it's come, yeah.
But they found a lot in the debris field because Titanic did break.
Right.
So for me to have been a student of this for so
Mhm.
long, to actually now see pieces was amazing. And I came across an exhibit. Some of the cabin stewards were young; they were 14 and 15 years old. And here's his little uniform, and his glasses were still in his pocket,
wow.
and all of his ID. And you know, most of the families in Southampton, if your brother or father or uncle were on board, only very few families didn't lose someone.
Right.
So Joe said, yeah, isn't it great? We found all this stuff. I said, I don't know. I'm having a real problem with this. So why? It's like archaeology. It's like when we
Yeah.
found Pharaoh's tomb. And I
Yeah.
said, that's 2,000 years ago. He had
Yeah.
a mom, and he has relatives still that they may have wanted some of these things. that
Yeah,
belonged
true.
to him.
Yeah.
So even I, who adored it, was creeped out. Standing next to the shell plating and realizing that I was probably had the same vantage point as somebody in a lifeboat that had gone
Right.
past those windows was a little eerie. They also had a big chunk of ice, which you could put your hand on the iceberg and feel how cold it was.
Wow.
It was, yeah. So the exhibit was amazing, and that exhibit is also at Luxor in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
So we are the O'Mary Show with Paul
Indeed.
Jasek, John
Mary
Keating,
Kennedy.
and this was our 102nd anniversary of the Titanic.
It was actually our fourth.
Our fourth,
but it was
but-
102 years ago.
I thought you were going to say it was the 102nd
Yeah.
anniversary show.
No, exactly.
We've been doing them for years
Years
and years.
So, you guys, you can catch us every Thursday at 7 o'clock Pacific or 10 p.m. Eastern here at the JohnLovitzComedyNetwork.com. Thanks so much for
See you
tuning in.
next week.
Thanks.
Bye now.